Hello, I'm Catherine Maguire. Welcome to the Soul Alchemist Podcast. If you are on a journey of personal or spiritual growth, or you're in the process of rebirthing yourself, moving into the next evolution of who you are in exactly the right place. It's my desire every week to offer you guidance and wisdom and inspiration and practical tools to help you and support you on that journey. So thanks for coming along. In the last episode, we were talking about the inner warrior. And we were talking about how that warrior needs something to get up out of bed for in the morning. And that is a bigger vision for your life. And an interesting thing happened, which was that several people got in touch with me and they all had a similar question or a similar statement, which was this: Catherine, I don't know what my bigger vision is. I don't know how to get in touch with my bigger vision. I've no sense of what my bigger vision is. I'm just going at it day to day, or I'm going around in circles. Can you give me some advice? So I thought that would be a great follow on from the last episode and make a really good podcast for today. So let's get into it. So first of all, what's a vision? So that we're all on the same page. For me, when I'm saying a bigger vision for your life, a vision is that next coordinate, that GPS point that you're moving towards. And that can look different for everybody. So for some people, that may be, my vision is to be in a loving and tender relationship, or my vision is to find a partner. Or for some people, my vision is to step out of relationship and go back to being single again. Or it may be that I want to raise my kids to be healthy and happy and emotionally balanced individuals. Or it may be something physical. I want to feel physically strong. I want to feel physically fit. I want my body to be healthy and to be well. My vision may be to recover from an illness or an injury. My vision may be to share my gifts and my skills in a new way. My vision may be to start a new creative pursuit, or share my creativity in a way that gives me joy, or share my creativity in a way that inspires others. My vision might be to, eat differently, or change my diet, or climb a mountain, whatever it is. All right. So what the vision can be is different for everyone, but it's something that comes from inside you. It's not a to-do list. It's not a bucket list thing. It's like there's something inside you, something inside your being is like pulling you forward. And it's like, yeah, I want to move towards that. And it provides a sense of fulfillment. It provides a sense of achievement. All right. And why a vision is important is, like, when you have that vision, it's like that GPS coordinate and you start moving towards it, all your stuff comes up. All the reasons you won't be, can't be, aren't able to be, shouldn't be in a loving relationship. All the reasons why you're not good enough to raise healthy, happy kids. All the reasons why, my body's never going to heal from this. All the reasons why, there's so many creatives out there. What has my creativity got to offer the world? All those things. All your stuff comes up the second you choose to put your kind of mark, your stake in the sand and go, yes, I'm walking towards that. And that's one of the reasons often people don't, commit to a vision, because, it's that resistance to dealing with the stuff. And that's okay. That's okay. Just as I say every week, make it conscious, So first of all, we want to have a vision, and then we want to move towards it. And then we want to know that once we start to move towards it, all your stuff's going to come up. But as you meet your stuff, you also meet your gifts, your beauty, your wisdom, your creativity, your magic, your joy, your fulfillment. So a vision, in essence, helps you birth the next version of yourself, evolve into the next version of yourself. And if you go all the way back to the episode when we were talking about the caterpillar and the butterfly, inside that caterpillar is that vision, desire to be the butterfly, to evolve. And sometimes we don't exactly know what the vision is. Like, we know we want to share our creativity, or we would know we want to raise our kids, or we want to be in a relationship. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like when we get there. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But as I say all the time, it's the feeling that has authority. What's the feeling you want to have associated on that vision with that vision? So if you want to be in a relationship, what's the feeling? If you want to raise your kids, what's the feeling you want to have when you look out and see, wow, like, there's great kids out in the world. I'm so proud of them. Like, I love them so much. And they're out there being themselves, whatever that is. Or, wow, I love that I have that mobility back in my body. I love that I'm able to do this thing that I haven't been able to do for months or years, whatever it is. What's the feeling? Okay. So that's what I mean by vision. And our vision comes from our inner king or our inner queen, our inner sovereign. And the sovereign, that part of us, is the part of us that's autonomous. It's the part of us that has the vision for the realm of our life. Okay. And when we don't have that vision, there's a few reasons. So I'm going to start at the micro and work up to the macro. Okay. So at the micro level, you may have trouble connecting with your vision because maybe you've been living in flight or fight for ages. Okay. Maybe you're used to having the rug pulled out of you. Maybe you've been in an abusive relationship and it's like you're always wondering what the next day is going to bring. Or maybe there's just something going on in your life where there's a lot of stress or drama, and you can't just go there further than a day, a week. Even going a month is too far. So the first thing is, like, is there something currently or previously that led you to be stressed, where thinking too far ahead is just too scary because you're stuck in that fight or flight? If that's the case, you need to take a little time to work on your nervous system and come out of fight or flight. Okay. And there's lots of ways to do that. You can do, somatic body work. You can do breathing. You can do art therapy. There's loads of ways to come out of that fight or flight state. That's the first thing. The second bit on that macro level or that micro level is that there's a part of you that doesn't want to dream big. You don't want to go into that vision state because you have a belief that it's not going to happen. It happens to others. It's not going to happen for me. And you're afraid to have the vision because you don't want to face the disappointment of not getting it. Okay. So that can be something for some people. And if that's it, you have to examine that belief. You have to unpack that belief and have a look at it. And then we go out a little further, and it can be, a little bit more into the dynamic of our relationship with our friends, our family. Well, I don't want to have this vision because if I have this vision, that'll set me apart, or they'll think I've notions, or they think I'm too big for my boots, or maybe I'll lose my friends or I'll lose my families because that's me stepping out beyond the kind of orbit that they're in. All right. And then as we get out again, we get into a cultural realm. And this is where it gets really interesting for me, because this is where we get into the realm of archetypes. All right. So on that kind of more macro level where we're looking at the archetypes, we have to have a look at, how do I feel about the king or the queen archetype? And often how we feel about the king or the queen archetype is how we've been shaped by culture to think about kings and queens. So if you grew up on fairy stories about the evil queen or the tyrannical king, that will affect how you feel about the king queen archetype. Depending on your culture, you will have a relationship to the king or queen archetype. And depending on where you're from, that will be very different. So if you're from Russia, if you're from America, if you're from China, if you're from Ireland, if you're from the UK, if you're from Australia, wherever it is, your perception of what a king and a queen is will be based on your culture. Okay. So I have a friend from Ghana. They have kings and queens all over the place. All right. Every community has kings and queens. I was talking to her recently. She sent me a fabulous photo, and it was a gathering of the queens, and they were all in their amazing headdresses and all colors and clothes and jewelry. It was amazing, and it's just like, that's so normal for them. That is such a normal thing. And the queens are the elders. They're the elder women in the community, and they're respected as such. So she has a really healthy relationship to the queen archetype, but she's in a country that was colonized by the British. So that she also has that other layer of colonial kingdom and queendom. So for her, there's also a part of her in her orientation towards the queen archetype for herself. She's had to unpack both those elements. All right. So if you're in Russia, you'll have to have a look at the czars. If you're from China, you'll have to have a look at the emperors. If you're from Europe, what does that mean? If you're from the Caribbean, what does that mean? So what's your cultural reference point of what a king and a queen is? And also, do you have a clash of cultures? So by that, I mean, like, I'm Irish. So in Irish, obviously, we were colonized by the British. So we have one association for what that means with regard to the king and the queen. We also have a huge history and mythology of the Irish kings and queens. We've fabulous, we've Queen Maeve, and we've really strong queens. And then we have, the stories of the kings going to Tara, the hill of Tara, where they go to the Leofoil, the king-making stone. And it's like they have to be accepted by the land of Ireland to be able to become the king. So we have a huge mythology about the king and queen and queens. And then we have our lived experience as people who've been colonized. So you need to unpack all of that and see where do you like. Because if you have an issue with it, if you're in confrontation with any aspect of that, you're in confrontation, you have an issue with your own inner king and the inner queen. And that will stop you from connecting to your vision. All right. And the other macro part of that is, dun, 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 and I say this because loads of my clients have this. If you have a strong rebel archetype, the rebel has an issue with authority, which is fine, because often what you have is an issue with authority, out of balance, unjust authority, all those things. But invariably, that rebel archetype also usually indicates that you have an issue with owning your own authority. So it's very easy to rebel against the authority of others, but not so easy to step into your own authority and your own power. And to be the king or the queen, you have to step into your power. I'm going to say that again. To be the king or the queen in your own life, you have to step into your own power. And that's where most of us fall down, because we're afraid of the power within us. So we either play small or we rebel against external authority instead of stepping into the depth and the breadth of the power that lives within us. So I want you to take a moment, and I want you to put, if you can, put a hand on your heart. And if somewhere you can do so, put a hand on your belly. And you can repeat this internally. You don't have to speak it out loud. But if you're somewhere where you can speak out loud, try it out loud. But either way, try out these words and see what happens. I step into, I claim, and I take responsibility for my own power. I step into, I claim, and I take responsibility for my own power. And notice what happens in your body. Are you jumping up and down with excitement? Or is part of you freaking out? And it's okay either way. What we're trying to do is get a sense of a litmus test for your relationship to the power within you. So now try this. I am willing to forge a relationship with my power. I am willing to forge a relationship with my power. One more time. I am willing to forge a relationship with my power. And notice what happens in your body when you say that. On a practical level, if you have trouble connecting with the vision, you start small, you start close in. There's a beautiful poem by the poet David Whyte called Start Close In. If you've never heard it, check it out. It's really lovely, especially if you can hear him speak it. So you start close in, you go, what's my vision for my morning? When you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, go, what's my vision for my morning? And start close in. And then when you get the morning done, go, what's my vision for my afternoon and my evening? And repeat that for a week, repeat that for a month. And then when you can, go, what's my vision for my day? And then extend that to what's my vision for my week. And then when you're ready again, go for a month. And maybe after that, move to 3 months or 6 months until you build up those inner muscles and can go for something bigger. But make the vision be small, make it be close, something you can attain in a simple and easy way. All right, and break it down. So that way you learn to get comfortable with a vision, and you learn to build trust between you and your vision. So say, for example, I wanted a loving relationship. Okay. And I get out of bed in the morning. That's, maybe my vision. So maybe that's my big vision. So I go, okay, well, if I want a loving relationship, how could I move that towards for my morning? So maybe I do something kind for myself. Or maybe I set the table for breakfast. Or maybe I buy myself some flowers. All right. And then the flip side is true. If you get out of bed in the morning, you go, I can't connect to my bigger vision. Pick something easy. So what would feel good for the morning? So I'm in bed. I don't know what my bigger vision is. I take a few breaths and I go, what would feel good in my bones today? Today would feel good just to feel relaxed. How can I feel relaxed? Well, what always relaxes me is just taking a moment to pause and look at nature. So this morning, my vision is to find somewhere, a park, a flower shop, somewhere where I can look at nature for a few moments and breathe. And then you build on that. Maybe your vision is, your big vision is to share your creativity. Well, what one little thing could you do to do something creative for you today? Or if you can't get in touch with your bigger vision, what might make you connect to your own energy today? Could you sing in the shower? Could you take a walk by yourself? Could you turn off the TV for half an hour and just sit in silence? So whichever side of the spectrum that you're on, that you have the vision, but you don't know how to work towards it, or that you can't get the vision, start close in. Do something small all the time that builds in it. It builds the muscles. It builds your connection, either to being available for the vision or to walking towards the vision you already have. And if you've no vision at all, or you're confused about it, let the vision be, I'm walking towards my power. I'm walking towards my power. And what one thing could you do to support that today? What one little thing might that be? So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Enjoy exploring. Have a wonderful, gorgeous week. Let me know how you get on. Slán agus ciao.